studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Yes, a very good morning and of course welcome to the show. It is Good Morning Uganda and a throwback Thursday. Now there is a lot we can throw back, but of course we need to take you through the Christmas mood, which is why we're giving you a lot of Christmas carols. There is the way they really boost your mood. So we're glad actually you're here, but also to have that mood with us as we move into Christmas. My name is Mollen, Kenyena. I have Robert Kirabo, Nyonyintono and Felix Nkunda to take you through today. Well, a lot is happening across the country, and of course on a sad note we do know that the security situation in Toroko and areas around is still tense, and residents continue to ask government to step in and help them, especially those that have left their homes. They want government to intervene and provide them with food, accommodation. Of course now it's going to be hard for them to gain back that confidence to go back to their homes. But in the meantime, security forces are assuring Ugandans that the situation is under control. They are trying to make sure that there is stability and peace in that area, and that is something that we can count on coming in from the UPDF spokesperson, who was also talking about the same. And also police is coming out to say, look, there is insecurity even in our homes, in our neighborhoods, which is why they want government to step in as well and, enforce a law that can govern installment of private cameras. Now, that is a very good discussion. How can, is it going to be affordable? Is every village or residence going to afford that kind of CCTV camera? Now, that is a discussion that we would want to dive in a little bit later. But I see this gentleman here. Yesterday, it was kind of a prediction. Finally, we have another team into the World Cup. People as well placed their bets, Morocco, France. I know a lot of black people that were supporting France, but also as an African, I was rooting for Morocco. I know a lot of people did not root for Morocco. Racism, I would say in quotes. But, well, Robert, good morning, and how are you feeling this morning?
Well, I'm fine. I thank God for the gift of life.
Morocco or France, before you go anywhere?
Some people said they weren't Africans, they were Arabs, if I remember very well. But
so
also we had a team that is full of Africans. And to me, the players that were playing for France looked more African than...
Why? Because of their color? Because they are black? Because being African is not a tribal or whatever. Just because they are black, they are not African. You're African because you're in Africa. They are not. They are just black, but they are not.
Well, so, that is something we can debate on. Because if you left Uganda, then you go to America, or you go to France, then after some time you become a person who has gotten a permanent residence there, then you process on paperwork, then you get citizenship. For me, I can't be mad to say that you're no longer an African. I'll still take you to be an African. If, because when I look at black Americans, there's always something to show that, yes, if your great parents left, and by even skin color and complexion, you look exactly like a Kirabo or like a Nkunda, and then you bring me someone from Morocco who looks more, of course, a bit more light-skinned, a bit more of Arab. For me, I would say, yes, our great cousins or whatever, they're in France there and they have played for France because of these other technicalities. I was shocked. George Weah, a president of a certain country, yet the son is playing for another country. You witnessed that? He's a president of another country, but his son, because he got citizenship, he was playing for another country. Now, if that country won, I wouldn't be very glad to say the American team has won. Well, Africa has won. So for me, I find myself that whoever was winning, I was fairly okay with it, because I look for the roots of Africanism, not these geographical positions and these issues that maybe African countries we are poor, our people are running to these countries and making them win trophies. I still say that is our blood. Victory belongs to Africans. And yesterday, no matter which team, of course, yes, there are those allegations of some people trying to distance themselves from us, but by and large, for me, I'm it was whoever did. I wouldn't feel losing out so much, and we would find it hard to explain to our kids that the France team was a team of France. Yes, it is easy for us to tell them that this Morocco team, you see, maybe they weren't Africans. So to me, whoever won had not so much of that. It's only on the finals where, yes, I'll be strongly rooting for a certain country. But also, you talked about what is happening in Uganda. Well, yesterday, I enjoyed arguments over, FIDA Uganda?
Yes.
It's one of the non-government organizations that really fights for women's rights, when they came out and they want government to ensure that cohabiting couples have equal rights, equal opportunities as married couples. Now, the married couples are those that are recognized by our laws. We have various forms of marriages. But cohabitants are, you meet your Mollen, very beautiful, chocolate skinned, has whatever you dream. You say, Mollen, let's go home. Somehow you start your relationship. And you move on, things happen. So they are saying, even when it's inheritance, even whatever that the law looks at and somehow discriminates this whether or not legally married, that should be scrapped. As long as you have been together, they are married, whatever they're doing is like what happens in marriage.
At least for a certain period of time.
Yes, so why should we still say that no, you're not married, this one is, so we should remove that and the law is equal to everybody. Now I know the church will come out and other traditional institutions, but they're saying no, we should move to that.
Yes, and I know also lawyers will want to insert themselves in there and define the law that could come in handy. And too good we have a lawyer in set. Felix, good morning. I want to get your sentiments on that.
On about cohabiting?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I can give you a commentary about it in two ways. One, if you want to look at union of two people and the law defines it, it can only be legal if it's under the law.
Yeah.
So what's the legal definition of marriage? And as I've always told people, again, we have had these discussions in various forums, and I've said the same thing. You can't have a half goal. It is either a goal or no goal.
Yeah.
No. No. It is either a marriage or not a marriage. Now, the benefits of a married woman can't be the same with the benefits of a cohabiting partner. Then the marriage ceases to be a marriage. The essence is lost. Why would people go through that trouble if they can get whatever is gotten out of marriage without going through the trouble? We must maintain the solid value of union, of unison that comes with matrimonial appreciation. And tell you what, this is the whole thing. People want to give so much power to the formalities. People cohabit for as long as 40 years, 30 years. I think for me the problem that is troubling the guys of FIDA and all this is they're failing to prepare people for marriage.
Yeah.
Marriage in African countries is a forced thing. When a woman gets pregnant, they will marry. It's like people think that when people get together, the first thing they're supposed to do is
get married.
Get married. No. And this has been the dilemma we are facing most recent. The pressure is too much. That's why we are having challenges in marriages, not because of the law or the institution of marriage per se. So about that, I think they're fighting a lost battle, and I will say they just want to take us on a fishing expedition, which clearly is not an interest we want to delve into.
Yes.
But also about yesterday, clearly I told you yesterday here that France was going to win, if you remember. I don't know why people are so quick to forget. Bob seems not to remember. Yesterday we had that discussion here on who would win, and even he said the team. I don't know why he doesn't want to talk about the fact that
Morocco,
he made
but now that it has lost,
and he's talking about it like he said nothing yesterday. Me, I wasn't for any team. Any team that win will win. Come on, you are here yesterday. And Heaven together.
But we also knew that Felix, you'd come and rub it in after France wins. So
because
it's okay. Go
the
on.
match was enjoyable. The boys played well. Tiri bya penalty kwekutiriza ku bantu. No added minutes. That's what they call.
Yeah.
Something I want to be very clear about, and for our viewers, and even for just you, my colleagues. You talked about the issue of those guys in France not being Africans. My dear, they are Africans 1++. And I'll tell you how. You can be a citizen of a country, but not of that country. Mbappe is a Congolese. Everyone knows it. He's a neighbor here. In fact, when you tell him Sangonini, you tell you Malam.
But Felix,
when
I
you
think you guys are getting this out of context. What defines someone being African? You're African,
it's what
not by your roots. But these Moroccans that you're trying to discriminate are
I have not
Africans.
said that. I have not
Appreciate
said that.
the ones that are actually African than you looking for the roots of the other guys who are French.
Okay.
These guys are real African.
Okay.
And for you to discriminate them based off on their color, that is racist.
No one said that. And I think that's fair. That
Oh,
you're
no.
insinuating.
Robert said that.
said
The color, I
this.
said they are white. These guys are black.
Let me tell you,
You
I
know?
said,
You guys are being
if I'm
racist
to
here.
look at
I don't know why you keep on saying you guys when nobody's the one who said it.
But to be honest, if I'm to meet players that played for France and are playing for France, put them there. And then I have
you
these
put-
guys from Morocco.
But by the way, Robert,
But you
no,
want
no,
to look at
no,
the color.
Mollen,
I want us to distance ourselves from the color.
there's
And
no way you can
appreciate-
distance.
Yes. But you see, this is why, as black people, let me say black people. Black people has had an
Okay,
had an
Madam
argument
White person.
about about racism, discrimination due to color, and this is the ongoing conversations in the U.S. and everywhere. We
tell
feel
you.
discriminated because of our color. Now, what we are doing right now to Morocco
No,
is
no.
unfair because we are turning the tables
It is
and
you who's
pretending
blowing it
like
out of
it's okay.
proportion, Mollen, by the
She's
way.
No, but I've
building a
seen
mountain
this
out
even
of a
across
handshake.
social media
But let me just
yesterday.
conclude
This was a
about
big
my.
conversation.
Okay, let me just conclude my point.
Yes.
And this I'm speaking from the legal part, by the way. And that's the reality. One day, if you get to move from here, let's say to Sweden,
Yeah.
you will acquire Swedish citizenship. And that's all you can get from there. You can never be a Swedish. I don't know if it makes sense that way. You get it? I don't know. You can move from here, Robert, and go to America. You will acquire American citizenship, but you will never be an American. That's why under the different types of how someone becomes a national, there are various. There are neutralization, there's by birth, there's by registration. Now you become a citizen by registration. The guys in France, between you and me, and they're also, by the way, proud. The previous World Cup was won by an African team, 90%. And this one is going to be, the finals is going to be played by an African team as well.
Yes.
I am proud. I don't know if the word prouder is there. I am prouder, if that word is there, to support France. Just like
Clearly.
Morocco.
Clearly.
For my personal reasons. I've told you,
Yeah.
I've had interactions, and I've been privileged to be in that part of Africa.
Yeah.
I know it when I say I'll support France than Morocco.
Well, guess what? I think also my support right now.
Yeah,
goes
and
to-
France won also, just so you remember.
I also
But as
have a
always
lot
been,
of support
Africa
for
has
France.
built the European world.
Yes.
Yeah, right from slave trade, the economy. What has made these countries great is Africa.
Surely, and of course we also have to appreciate that Morocco has broken records, being the first African country to reach
itself.
semi-finals. And right now they're actually still in play for the third place. So I think they have actually given us a good run for our money. And that is one thing to appreciate from Morocco. And I know Ruben will be here to take us through more of the highlights. And of course, as we look at the big game into the finals. Well, right now we also want to take you through what is happening across the country in terms of the top stories. What do we have locally, Robert?
Well, we'll begin with His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who is in the United States on a summit that is the US-Africa Leader Summit, where yesterday President Museveni was commended by many of the people attending this over his successful fight against COVID-19 pandemic and Ebola outbreak in Uganda at the ongoing US-Africa Leaders Summit. President Museveni was lauded by his Botswana counterpart, among others, during the Partnering for Sustainable Health session held under the theme Building Resiliency for Healthy People, Healthy Countries at the Washington Convention Center.
Now, Minister for East African Community Affairs Rebecca Kadaga is set to persuade other ministers in the region to adopt the newly composed students' anthem. Kadaga, who cited innovation as part of the avenues for promoting East African, did pledge to sell the idea of the new anthem to the East African Council of Ministers. She was speaking during the unveiling of the new anthem composed by retired Ugandan Army officer Kano Atenyi. This was at the Kingdom Building Park in Uganda's capital, Kampala, where UPDF band section played the instruments of this song.
And moving on, it is now 16 days since the country reported the last positive case of Ebola, and it has taken close to 43 days before the country, and it has to take close to 42 days before the country is declared free by the World Health Organization. This was revealed by the Director General of Health Services at the Ministry of Health, Dr. Henry Mwebesa. Mwebesa urged health workers to always be vigilant and observe infection prevention measures. Overall, 16 health workers got infected with the deadly Ebola virus and 9 succumbed to the deadly disease. He made the remarks while addressing health practitioners, implementers, and donors at the 9th Annual National Quality Improvement Conference in Nyonyintono.
Well, the NRM Secretary General Richard Tudong has in a stern warning promised whoever dares to attack and harm the party supporters to face repercussions in real time. While addressing the media in Kampala this Wednesday, Tudong noted that Uganda Human Rights Commission has notified them about the increasing cases of violence attack against its members, especially in Kampala Metropolitan. Now he was delivering a message, the message of the party for the end of year to the country.
Go on to the international scene. Peru has declared a nationwide state of emergency amid a week of protest and political upheaval following the removal and detention of former President Pedro Castillo. Peruvian Defense Minister Alberto Otaola announced a new 30-day measure which he said involved the suspension of freedom of movement and assembly and could include curfew. Now on Wednesday, due to acts of vandalism and violence, including roadblocks. The National Police, with support of the armed forces, will ensure the control throughout the national territory of personnel, property, and above all, strategic infrastructure and the safety and well-being of the Peruvians, the minister said. The move came as a judge ordered Castillo to remain in prison on charges of rebellion and conspiracy for another 48 hours in the run-up to a release hearing. In another story, Iran has been removed from the United Nations Women's Body, a move pushed by the United States as the Iranian government continues to repress protests across the country. The 54-member UN Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC, voted on Wednesday to adopt a US-drafted resolution to expel Iran from the Commission of the Status of Women, accusing Iran of systematic violation of women's rights. The vote passed 29-8 with 16 absenteeism and applies to the remainder of the body's current term from 2022 through 2026. UN member states just voted to remove Iran from the Commission on the Status of Women, the US ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, said on Twitter following the vote. Iran women and activists called upon us to do this, and today we got it done. Iran expressed disappointment with the decision and had previously also expressed the same. A newly filed lawsuit in Kenya seeks US $1.6 billion from the social media giant Meta in order to establish a victims' compensation fund on behalf of people targeted for violence in Ethiopia because of widely shared Facebook posts. Now, Amnesty International announced on Wednesday that it filed a lawsuit against, along with 6 other human rights and legal organizations. Among the parties is Abraham Amare, whose father was targeted by posts that led to ethnic violence. Margaret Amare, a Tigran academic, was sent to retire from the Bahar Dar University, where he was killed in November 2021. Now, Abraham pleaded with Facebook to remove the incendiary posts for at least 3 weeks before his father was killed, and is now seeking asylum in the United States because he is unsafe in Ethiopia, according to the Amnesty. And in climate news, climate change will accelerate humanitarian crisis around the world in 2023, adding to the issues created by armed conflict and economic downturns, according to a study by the NGO International Rescue Committee. The agency, based in New York and led by former UK politician David Miliband, flagged the number of people in the humanitarian need has skyrocketed in the last decade, approaching 339.2 million versus 81 million seen in 2014. Now, climate change is among the key factors accelerating humanitarian emergency, the IRC noted, despite the fact that 20 countries on its emergency watch list, like Haiti and Afghanistan, contribute just 2% of global carbon dioxide emissions. Now, 2022 has shown that the role of climate change in accelerating the global humanitarian crisis is undeniable. That is according to the report. I'm much more concerned to the story about Iran being expelled from the Women's Council in the UN, because we've also seen that Iran continues to, violate rights against women, and I think this is a good move, really put across. And I know there is, mixed sentiments, but I do hope this is a good move. I don't know. What do you think, Felix?
It is a very good move, and something that has been quite. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
However, many considerations must be put in place, Mollen, with some of these new developments, and one of the most ideal of the same is to take into consideration the fate of the people in those domains.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's been the biggest challenge, the absence of contribution for the people in those particular domains.
Well, and gladly organizations are taking action on that, and hopefully this is what really humanity has come to, and we cannot just, watch acts going on wrongly and be okay with them.
But what happens to conflict of tradition and culture? Who answers that question? Time and again, that's been a big question. What happens to the conflict?
Yeah, but humanitarian law. Also, yes, you have the culture, you have the tradition, but you were talking about human life, executing someone because of their dress code, some of these things.
Okay, that's
an extreme.
Well, you will say that, but do you have heard how many people have been killed in the US because of color?
Yeah.
Sometimes I think there's been a lot of unfairness in world judgment because of positions, and this has been our continuous challenge. We have had issues. Countries like Uganda have been put on the spot for things like human rights, as defined by the people out there. You get the point. The Arab world, it's not the first time they are doing this.
Yes.
You get the point? There have been very, very many cases. This is just probably one of them that took onto the international stage. We are not saying that is the best way to do it, but there are people. You remember the discussion we had about Benghazi, USA Benghazi, if you remember? We had a discussion about USA Bermuda. I don't know, you remember? And because of, and this is what her argument has been, if you want to talk about issues in these countries, allow us to talk about the issues happening in those countries as well.
So there is
the rate of black.
Yeah.
No. There's a lot of pretense and hypocrisy when it's about discussions of human rights. Human rights are only human rights when they are in either an Islamic country, an African country, a Uganda, a Kenya. But who's talking about the abuse of human rights in the USA? You just talked about racism. For example, when you want, if you want to see fire or hell break loose, talk about LGBT. You talk about gays and homosexuality.
There
you
is
wake up one
obviously
day and you
still
deny
a
us
big question.
aid.
There is still a big question,
So
especially about that.
and that's why for me I don't rush to cast blame, saying that's why my question was, what happens to the conflict of culture, society? The Islamic, the Mohammedan law, the Sharia law has been like that since time immemorial.
Yeah.
For them, they know a woman how should be treated. They know how a man, that is how they are. That's how they have been ages, millions and millions of years. Why do you want to change their will like that? You go and have your gays and sex.
Still a
Don't
very,
touch
very
their
big
cultures.
discussion, obviously.
Honestly, I
and
think
of
there's a
course,
contradiction for me. I'll just wrap it up
much
in that way.
Yes, yes, much rooting for humanity and of course to make sure everyone is
Question of
safe and
moral
alive.
authority.
And this is where also Robert comes in to tell us more of how to take responsibility for our own health and keep alive. Robert.
It's the festive season, and of course today being Throwback Thursday, I know many when talk about Christmas, the likes of Felix, it was a time to eat turkey, eat duck, eat rabbit and other things like that. But well, for you to enjoy your Christmas, you must be healthy so that you're going to have fun, make family time. So how do you do that? Here is my recommendations to you. This is Hallelujah Banana fruit juice. This is Hallelujah tamarind drink and Hallelujah ginger tea. Now these are immune boosters, but also they're very tasty. I know kids would really enjoy this, and also this as well. So apart from just enjoying the sweet taste, they're of health benefit to you because they'll boost your immune system. You won't easily fall sick because your body will be able to fight off a number of diseases, but also save more monies that you would spend on treatment, visiting doctors, consultations here and there. So that can go for Christmas. Well, make it your daily routine every morning. At least take any of these bottles and I guarantee you the results are very good.
So,
Well, there you have it.
just one thing, Mollen, please.
Yes, yes.
So who used to take this big balloon on this thing? I don't know how to say. Man, like that, you remember that big balloon? Like
Yeah.
used to. I don't know.
That's where corruption began
I don't know how
from.
they play. I don't know how they call that
You
thing
know,
in
it
English.
was always hard to win.
Okuba.
You never win that
What is
one.
Okuba?
It wasn't hard to
English.
win. That balloon was always the reason why kids would come to buy. So it was the first number to be removed.
But how would they know even them?
They would, because
think
at
they
the
would
back
have
of,
a way.
remember Felix, when you came and chose
They
and
give
they
you a
gave you,
cupboard. It is sealed, but you have to choose from two sides. There's that side and this side. Unless there
Yeah.
someone was peeping from the middle to see.
Yeah.
well, somehow they
And
knew.
secondly,
That's why it was
these-
always the last to be bought.
These long balloons were so annoying because they would make your cheeks hurt. Like they would
And I think they are
You
still
know-
in circulation, by the
Yeah,
way.
but I had a brother of mine who was an expert. Man, this guy would pull it, then he blows. So every
But you
time you
see,
had to look for
A
him.
lot of
Those
memories
days,
for Christmas,
balloons
for
were
sure.
expensive.
Yes.
Man, it cost about.
And you had to go with your 100 or 50.
Yeah, Okuba.
But today you find that kids of today may not go through that because
They are
these
still
kids,
in
they are very
circulation, and I think
available.
we should
They're very
actually.
available.
These
should
kids who
actually
know
call
these
upon
Christmas
kids
trees,
to go
Tomanika
for it.
Komeda.
Twanonyo obukomera. Then no
And then
katema.
after you light it on first, is it 31st?
31st is when you burn it.
Gentlemen, we are going in for
But these
our
days, if you're
inspiration
gotten-
song of the day. Obviously, it's a
Yeah.
Thursday. We want to throw back. And of course, you can see the memories here about Christmas and what used to happen. Well, but we get into that inspiration song. And when we come back, we'll be going in for a topical discussion. You would want to be part of that. Be sure to keep with us. For right now, good morning, Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala.
And a throwback Thursday. Now there is a lot we can throw back, but of course we need to take you through the Christmas mood, which is why we're giving you a lot of Christmas carols. There is the way they really boost your mood. So we're glad actually you're here, but also to have that mood with us as we move into Christmas. My name is Mollen, Kenyena. I have Robert Kirabo, Nyonyintono and Felix Nkonda to take you through today. Well, a lot is happening across the country, and of course on a sad note, we do know that the security situation in Toroko and areas around is still tense, and residents continue to ask government to step in and help them, especially those that have left their homes. They want government to intervene and provide them with food, accommodation. Of course, now it's going to be hard for them to, gain back that confidence to go back to their homes. But in the meantime, security forces are assuring Ugandans that the situation is under control. They are trying to make sure that there is stability and peace in that area, and that is something that we can count on coming in from the UPDF spokesperson, who was also talking about the same. And also police is coming out to say, look, there is insecurity even in our homes, in our neighborhoods, which is why they want governments to step in as well and, you know, enforce a law that can govern installment of private cameras. Now, that is a very good discussion. How can, is it going to be affordable? Is every village or residence going to afford that kind of CCTV camera? Now, that is a discussion that we would want to dive in a little bit later. But I see this gentleman here. Yesterday, it was kind of a prediction. Finally, we have another team into the World Cup. People as well placed their bets, Morocco, France. I know a lot of black people that were supporting France, but also as an African, I was rooting for Morocco. I know a lot of people did not root for Morocco. Racism, I would say in quotes. But, well, Robert, good morning, and how are you feeling this morning?
Well, I'm fine. I thank God for the gift of life.
Morocco or France, before you go anywhere?
Some people said they weren't Africans, they were Arabs, if I remember very well. But
So
also, we had a team that is full of Africans. And to me, the players that were playing for France looked more African than...
Why? Because of their color? Because they are black? Because being African is not a tribal or whatever. Just because they are black, they are not African. You're African because you're in Africa. They are not. They are just black, but they are not.
Well, that is something we can debate on. Because if you left Uganda, then you go to America, or you go to France, then after some time you become a person who has gotten a permanent residence there, then you process on paperwork, then you get citizenship. For me, I can't be mad to say that you're no longer an African. I'll still take you to be an African. If, because when I look at black Americans, there's always something to show that, yes, if your great parents left, and by even skin color and complexion, you look exactly like a Kirabo or like a Nkunda, and then you bring me someone from Morocco who looks more, of course, a bit more light-skinned, a bit more of Arab. For me, I would say, yes, our great cousins or whatever, they're in France there and they have played for France because of these other technicalities. You know, I was shocked. You know, George Weah, a president of a certain country, yet the son is playing for another country. You witness that? He's a president of another country, but his son, because of he got citizenship, he was playing for another country. Now, if that country won, I wouldn't be very glad to say the American team has won. I was, well, Africa has won. So for me, I find myself that whoever was winning, I was fairly okay with it, because I look for the roots of Africanism, not these geographical positions and these issues that maybe African countries we are poor, our people are running to these countries and making them win trophies. I still say that is our blood. Victory belongs to Africans. And yesterday, no matter which team, of course, yes, there are those allegations of some people trying to distance themselves from us, but by and large, for me, it was whoever did. I wouldn't feel losing out so much, and we would find it hard to explain to our kids that the France team was a team of France. Yes, it is easy for us to tell them that this Morocco team, you see, maybe they weren't Africans. So to me, whoever won had not so much of that. It's only on the finals where, yes, I'll be strongly rooting for a certain country. But also, you talked about what is happening in Uganda. Well, yesterday, I enjoyed arguments of, you know, FIDA Uganda?
Yes.
It's one of the non-government organizations that really fights for women's rights, when they came out and they want government to ensure that cohabiting couples have equal rights, equal opportunities as married couples. Now, the married couples are those that are recognized by our laws. We have various forms of marriages. But cohabitants are, you meet your Mollen, very beautiful, chocolate skinned, has whatever you dream. You say, Mollen, let's go home. Somehow you start your relationship. And you move on. Things happen. So they are saying, even when it's inheritance, even whatever that the law looks at and somehow discriminates these people that are not legally married, that should be scrapped. As long as you have been together, they are married, whatever they're doing is like what happens in marriage.
At least for a certain period of time.
Yes, so why should we still say that no, you're not married, this one is, so we should remove that and the law is equal to everybody. Now I know the church will come out and other traditional institutions, but they're saying no, we should move to that.
Yes, and I know also lawyers will want to insert themselves in there and define the law that could come in handy. And too good we have a lawyer in set. Felix, good morning. I want to get your sentiments on that.
On about cohabiting?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I can give you a commentary about it in two ways. One, if you want to look at union of two people and the law defines it, it can only be legal if it's under the law.
Yeah.
So what's the legal definition of marriage? And as I've always told people, again, we have had these discussions in various forums and I've said the same thing. You can't have a half goal. It is either a goal or no goal.
Yeah.
No. No. It is either a marriage or not a marriage. Now, the benefits of a married woman can't be the same with the benefits of a cohabiting partner. Then the marriage ceases to be a marriage. The essence is lost. Why would people go through that trouble if they can get whatever is gotten out of marriage without going through the trouble? We must maintain the solid value of union, of unison that comes with matrimonial appreciation. And tell you what, this is the whole thing. People want to give so much power to the formalities. People cohabit for as long as 40 years, 30 years. I think for me the problem that is troubling the guys of FIDA and all this is they're failing to prepare people for marriage.
Yeah. Marriage
in African countries is forced, it's a forced thing. When a woman gets pregnant, they will marry. It's like people think that when people get together, the first thing they're supposed to do is
get married.
Get married. No. And this has been the dilemma we are facing most recent. The pressure is too much. That's why we are having challenges in marriages, not because of the law or the institution of marriage per se. So about that, I think they're fighting a lost battle, and I will say they just want to take us on a fishing expedition, which clearly is not an interest we want to delve into.
Yes.
But also about yesterday, clearly I told you yesterday here that France was going to win, if you remember. I don't know why people are so quick to forget. Bob seems not to remember that yesterday we had that discussion here on who would win, and even he said the team. I don't know why he doesn't want to talk about the fact that
Morocco,
he made a
but now that it has lost,
and he's talking about it like he said nothing yesterday. Me, I wasn't for anything. Any team that win will win. Come on, you were here yesterday. And heaven together.
But we also knew that Felix, you'd come and rub it in after France wins. So
because
it's okay. Go on.
The match was enjoyable. The boys played well. They a penalty. No added minutes. That's what they call.
Yeah.
Police is now calling for, because cameras are effective indeed in fighting crime. I just want to look at one or two famous cases that happened in this country, and these we used private, not government cameras. I don't know if our viewers remember the story of young Mulo. That border that was robbed, and the border psych rider, they got him, someone picked a stone, the hammer, but as they were carrying out their mission, there was someone's house that had a camera. So this camera captured young Mulo, aka young Mulo, and his colleague. Now police was able to arrest young Mulo basing on this footage, and then they went ahead for successful prosecution even in court, because evidence was seen and these were the people. So they help us find out who committed the crime and how the crime was committed. So if we can break the challenge that has been lack of continuity in terms of following the criminal, and we have aid of private cameras, then I believe this is going to go a long way in enabling us to arrest these suspects. Because the biggest challenge that I want to emphasize is many a times we've worked backwards. That a crime has been committed, that is when we say we have some camera footage. Let's look at this footage. But we've not used these cameras in proactiveness, in saying, no, there's someone monitoring and watching, and they can suspect and say, we look at somebody, this is the, like he's attempting to climb Kirabo's fence. He's attempting, this looks like a stranger playing with their kids. They have not done that. They have helped us. Kirabo's son was kidnapped. Let's go back and see what's at the gate. However, it helps arrest and hold the suspect who later is convicted, but it is not proactive. So I see it as a good move. If now individual cameras are on the grid, I see it as a good move, because even criminals may usually shun or fear, because no one wants to commit a crime when he knows that 90% they're going to be arrested.
Yes.
You know, no one wants to do that. And now criminals will know that even where you've mastered the art of police, of these cameras that the public cameras instituted by government, there could be a camera somewhere that has captured you, and they'll be able to arrest you. Because you may never know where Mollen put her security camera. You may never know. You may never know where Felix installed his camera. So much as you might say now there are 3 cameras there, if you pass here and you pass there, then a camera will nab you, and the police will not find it difficult to get this footage.
Yes.
Like sometimes they had to go and beg somebody, ask. So if this is well perceived and people install these cameras, then I believe it's going to go a long way in successful prosecution, in deterring crime, and in arresting culprits.
Absolutely. And we also know that this is also a big ask, but also a necessary one. Because also when you look at asking government to come in right now and give their support, we do know that CCTV cameras actually are not cheap to get. And of course, in the same statements, he was also asking that some of the taxes be waived off these CCTV cameras so that private owners can actually afford them. But also, this is where government can come in and weigh in and also make sure that, yes, we have the taxes off, but also how are they utilizing the available CCTV cameras? Are we getting what we are expecting from this? And now that we are extending it to private ownership, is this going to be really something we look forward to? And Felix, I want you to weigh in on that.
Well, this whole story of encouraging private installation of CCTVs is a good idea, as a matter of fact. And it would definitely, and it has been used. We have seen many clips that police has used for investigations, and later on, of course, arrests and then prosecutions that are majorly private. But you know, when you see government institutions starting to throw the bone back to the citizens, it's what we were saying here, I think yesterday or the other day, about empowering communities. There is no guarantee that if a Kirabo has a camera, as a private installation, you have a right to use it. You may do the law, but I can tell you as a matter of fact, and with due respect to the suggester of this idea, there may not be a law in place to compel a private owned to be used. And even most recent, it is through a court order. You get the point. And that being is not, it is not ideal. It is because of various factors. We don't have a law that does witness protection lately. I would want to be corrected.
We don't have that. I thought that's for every country there is a law with
And that's the problem.
protection.
It may sound automatic,
We have the
but
whistleblower has a bit of
that's
protection.
very different. Whistleblower is in relation to civil and governmental proceedings. It's never going to criminal. We're talking about criminal law. Mollen, you give your footage there that shows Kirabo doing something, and tomorrow they come for you. I think we are putting the cart before. There's so many things for us to discuss before we get into asking for
But now,
laws.
Felix, what they're saying is, you don't have to give because your camera is automatically connected to their grid. So
It is not possible. Where is the grid?
They will identify that it's coming
let
from
me ask
such
you a
a grid.
question.
just because,
No,
for example, what
no.
happened in Muyenga yesterday, this is what happened in Muyenga. Police had a technology and they were asking people that have cameras that are willingly, this is what happened at the launch of this yesterday, that they found a way where these cameras, for example, can have a security camera and can be on your phone when you're home, isn't it? You're here, but you can see what is happening at home. You can even tilt your security camera using your phone, the CCTV camera, and rotate it around. So there is a way you can give authority to police that whatever your camera is capturing on their system, they are seeing it. So in case something happened along there, they may not even know which camera, because, I mean, the people, you don't have to go and present yourself as giving evidence.
Come
It
on.
all comes into
But
the police.
let's be
I
realistic.
feel like criminals will
How
still
can
know.
you say that they don't know which camera?
I'm saying
they know.
I don't have the criminals, though, because one thing that the chairman asked the chairman LC3, forgotten his name.
Okay,
I'll
the
get it.
chairman.
Yeah, he asked. He said the security of people giving these cameras to be run. They said we are no longer going to come to you to ask for footage. That Felix,
We shall just get it
there was-
ourselves.
yes, because already
Now,
your camera fits into our camera.
Thank you, and that's what I was saying. When you talk of Muyenga, and that it is understandable, the sophistication of crimes in this country. Go to what about the Katangas of this world, the Waises of this world. Okay, Muyenga is covered, the Kololos will be covered, etc. How about these other? Let me tell you, the biggest gap today, and you see, you may jump onto the issues of camera, they are good and they are going to be helpful. But the biggest challenge is building, reconstructing the rapport between society, communities, and police. How about the areas where there are no cameras? There is an eye. Yesterday, you were the one here saying, someone has always, nothing happens when no one knows about it. How about this camera, the people's eyes?
Which is the best camera, by the way.
The one that can even come to court and testify for you to have a good prosecution.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. We are limping ahead. We just want to limp and jump so many things. There's something we need. And do you know what the reason why the chairman you're talking about asked that question? It was about witness protection. That's one of the biggest challenges of people and evidence in this country. You go and give evidence, you say we saw this person, you don't know if you'll reach home. Very dismaying. And this one, the good thing we have sometimes, some of you, you're lucky, someone might talk to the PRs of these institutions like the police, Fande Nanga. The PR of police and communities is terribly wanting. And sometimes it's not because of what police has done, but what police has not done. Many a times, the people who commit the crimes in communities are what we call previous criminals. And this is factual in terms of criminal law. They are what we call offenders. They are continuous offenders. They are previous offenders. They are habitual offenders, as he has said. There are people who have been taken to police, and before the person who has reported them reaches home, the person amwitako gwagenza okuwaaba nga tunatuuka nawuwo gw'owaabidde gw'olese mu kkomera akusooka n'otuuka kati. How do you think me I'm going to come there and say camera footage namulabye? Because, and this is what I'm saying, the biggest camera is the eye. But how do we empower these cameras of people? How do we give people confidence in police and the institution? We must do more. There's a lot that is wanting from us as an institution of police. One, how honest, the levels of truth and honesty. We must dissect and put aside one thing, money and policing. And not in terms of funding, but in terms of communities. There's this very common saying that Omavu tawaba musango, something like that.
Tasinga
tawaba, same thing.
Because
that's the thing. But is that then justice? But what brings that about? The first thing you ask when you go to some of the stations, actually your first fear is sina kangenda kubalekera. Because what we naturally sit agenda kola kuki. Those are the problems that people will not come and tell you the truth. Cameras are good, and we are not disputing that, by the way.
And they're effective.
They are, and they have done lots of work. Lots of work. Remember the case of the attempted murder of Jeno. We saw how the late Okech, it was a good one. But imagine, even if they weren't there, in fact, even in addition, because cameras don't speak. But in addition to the cameras, the late Jeno was explaining, we talked to the people at the petrol station, they told us they saw. That means this collaborates. The people collaborate all these efforts. So you may put your cameras there and they will be as good as useless if there are no people to collaborate the CCTV footage. You get the point? And people will give you the footage. But there's someone who had someone say something that you need.
Even getting those, because one of the things I discovered with cameras, and over the weekend I was having a discussion with one officer. And unfortunately, it was also about cameras. So one of the people in this discussion said, for me, I get shocked that her experience has been that whenever they have broken into her house, there is video footage. The city cameras covered, and they capture the pictures of these people. But she was saying, getting the people remains a problem. So, camera bezikwata balinga abatali mu Uganda.
No, and she's not lying.
That is why committee must be involved. Because she was saying, I report to police, I take the footage, we look for these people, I drive almost, the head is outside of my car to see if by any chance I will see this person. But I never come to see this person.
Because when you get the footage, the first thing you'll do, you'll go to probably Stenson and ask Panay. Now, even if they know, but they're scared for their lives, they'll start, okay. But that's what I'm saying. I think the police should invest more in building confidence in the eyes, the camera. These people, trust me, people are not confident in police because most, for example, there are some stations, areas you go to, and they tell you,
police.
Kakati, even if you have a camera, what is the use? You get the thing. There are places you go to, and they tell you openly, the people who still here work with, go downtown there in this Vaya, the gangs and what the drug guys. They are known. In fact, the police station will be here, and they rob people from here every day. You go downtown, you've seen some of these stories, the investigative people, and the robbing happens in front of a post. And
sometimes they actually have their pictures in their police stations. You go report and they tell you, yeah, we're also looking for this particular person. See their photos right there. And you're like, okay, they are also looking, but then they are seated back.
Where were you robbed? How was it done? Okay.
Give us a day.
It is this particular group. But that was said, I must say, first and foremost, when you talk about cameras, approach to crime is not singular. It is plural, multi-sector approach. So you use a number of approaches to eliminate crime. And one of them are cameras. One of the things that I find that Deputy Inspector General of Police talked about is cost. Felix talked about what do we do for the people of Bwaise Katanga. I think there are certain things where government must reduce tax on them or remove tax completely so that they are very affordable. We must accept with economic hardships, we must say criminality is going to increase. COVID-19 rendered many people jobless. Second, some government initiatives like seeing vendors off the streets, this, that, every time these markets now, we don't know what will happen to the border people also. So some of these create people jobless, and those with criminal minds may go into crime. So anything that helps in fighting crime, we should ensure it is put in place. So reduce taxation, reduce so that they are affordable. I think today the cheapest camera, CCTV camera, goes for 150,000. Not so many people. And when you buy it, of course, you need Wi-Fi, you need data, something like that, so that it can work. You don't just install and say, I can follow what is happening at my home on my phone free of charge. So if you can address those issues. But also very importantly, that Felix talked about the relationship with the public. I want to say all hope is not lost. All hope is not lost with police or security organizations. But I think police has lacked more community engagement with the public. That when you come across these roadblocks in your pursuit for justice, what do you do and how do you do it? That when you're frustrated by one police officer, what is the next step for you not to give up? Because we may not take it blanketly that because at a certain post or a certain police station, this is happening. Police has made some changes. Police has had its officers disciplined. But what happens with Ugandans? We've become so complacent and normalized certain things that you can't go an extra mile, even if it is burdening. That is why Felix talked about someone being arrested and then you find them home. Because a person will be arrested and police will come and give evidence, or they give them a police bond or whatever it is. So we need to know that we must push harder. I don't want us to feel like all is lost. There's so much we can do. And I want to just urge government, one of the things is reduction on cost of these cameras so that they're affordable.
No, but if you may allow me,
and Felix, actually, as we move to conclude, if you could also bring in, you explicitly talked about the fact that there are weaknesses in the law, but how can communities step up, even in that kind of nature, to make sure that we help police fight some of these crimes?
No, for me, I think the bigger role, by the way, lies with communities than even police. You know, it lies with communities than police. For example, look what happened in Toroko. These people have been masquerading around. So if we don't accept that it is and that's the problem. The dilemma is that society always looks at police to we have a police, police, that's the thing. And yet you're throwing it to police, but police is not about this is your life, this is your property, this is your safety. So we must continuously also appreciate engaging our own selves. We must empower. I emphasize, we need to empower local councils.
Yes.
Local councils. In Rubaga here, I remember the old days, we used to have
defense secretary for defense,
and we used to give 2,000, I think, a month, or 3,000, 5,000, something. They used to come every home, and these young men, they would give them a tip. The chairman would walk around Rubaga, get some of these idle boys, we shall tujakola patrol. And they would give them some
just move into an area and just settle like it is today.
Yes.
But at night, even some of you, the people who are late comers, you would meet them at one. There's
actually coordination.
They would know. And those were people because the good is that they know the village members, the boys. If you're a stranger, they will still tutwale wosula tukuwerekere. But what's happening today? Chairman, Biamutamada, they have funny titles, Simanya defense, over defending what? Security women. They were reduced to obunga ebujjabaga obunga. The chairman bagaba bunga. But that's not the role of chairman kugaba bunga. When they send the relief, bebasokoga baba nabita registering abobukoko chairman security. That's the first turning. But they're not empowered poor people. Katia, who's going to walk at night? Yet I know Mchara Navana. They have children.
But isn't that why the defense personnel were established in
They
the first
should be
place.
supported. They are there, and they are ready to work, because I understand that's why. But they are not supported. Government and police or whatever.
We have been undermined and
RDCs
demeaned.
should put them in the structure of security. Should put them under the structures of security. If there is some support, for example, like footwear, can at least give them some gumboots to work at night. Give them some rain jackets. Give those small, you may not have the money and what, but give them. Communities, you must do your own security rounds. There are people who are willing to support in these communities, unlike others. Some people will take the allowance. They're there. And I saw it, as I'm telling you, because I've seen this in particular in Musigula and Ulezon. There people used to do it some time ago. I don't know how it is right now. So these things are possible. Communities, you must interest yourselves in your own security. If not so, we shall keep on talking about post-mortem issues. Cameras zakuta babinga babulirayo nenga bagenzi. So cameras are good for post-mortem. It is very rare a camera to be in real time, because you review the footage in the morning.
Yeah.
But unless you have heard or listened, that's when you can check. But most times cameras are good for aftermath. But real time, we need sober, solid answers to criminality.
Absolutely. And of course, as we talk about mandatory CCTV cameras on buildings, especially going private, there are still unanswered questions or things we need to actually address. And one of our viewers actually also did talk about, he says the initiative of police to interlink public and private camera is good, but there is also a matter of privacy. Interlinking means that whatever you do at your home is never private anymore. So in case you find it lands in a person who is not ethical, it could be bad news. Those are some of the things that still need to be addressed as we move to see that this can be a helpful move to ensure security around our residents, but also as a country in general. Well, that is it for our Good Morning Uganda newsreel. We do have more in the dailies that will be coming up to give you. Later than that, we'll also be taking you to the road, see the traffic situation, and of course the weather updates. Thereafter, we'll be coming in for Good Morning Uganda agenda. So don't you go away. We'll take a short break and we'll be back.
The festive season is here and it's Christmas in 4G from Airtel. Get the most affordable 4G smartphone in Uganda, now heavily discounted from 250,000 shillings to 150,000 shillings only. Yes! 150,000 shillings only to keep you connected to your loved ones this holiday season.
Dial *175*94# to activate free 1 GB instantly and 100% double data on all weekly and monthly bundles for 3 months. Get one today while stock lasts from the nearest Airtel shop. Happy holidays this festive season with Airtel, the smartphone network.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here, in the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking to the taste of food that takes you on a journey, in the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth. In the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the pearl of Africa.
Said I'm fired up. I'm sorry your time's up. I see the top and I climb up. Came from the ashes, I rise up.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
In our dailies this morning, we start off with the new vision. Parish money payout starts. Now 1 trillion Ugandan shillings has been reserved for PDM circles countrywide. That is a story on page 6. And they also give you a picture right there in the US Africa Summit as Museveni is loaded for managing COVID-19. Now you see a picture with the delegation, different dignitaries, that is after a meeting in Washington yesterday. In the new vision as well, you look at the ADF rebels, normalcy returns in Ntoroko. That is a detailed story on page 8. But also in the new vision series, Uganda's best football coaches of all time. That is a story on page 42 and 43 of the new vision. We're crossing over to the second page, my China story, AC competition winners awarded. You look at most of those that were awarded. That is due to the AC competition that was put there, the initiative of China and Vision Group. More details are in there. World Bank experts weigh in on the economic recovery. Much more of the stories in the new vision for today.
In the Daily Monitor, divided NRM backs Museveni for 2026 and transport fares still stable as Xmas approaches. Now, when ICC to pass judgment today and court issues summons against Dr. Besigye. Now, Museveni woos Americans to make vaccines in Uganda, and in DM today, relationships. In 5 years, she turned him down 3 times. Well, still looking at the papers, today in history, Binai Yusa released from house arrest. That was in 1980. And US declares end of war in Iraq.
And we cross over to the New Vision Sports, giving you your World Cup paper. And they're tagging Messi to add an AH, Messiah, I guess. Well, it looks like the records are clear. Lionel Messi is going all the way. And of course, talking about the aftermath of the semi-finals and what to expect within the finals, that is Argentina and France. All that for you in the New Vision Sport. And of course, big chance to emulate Maradona. That is still when it comes to Messi. Croatia burning with pride despite being knocked out. And of course, that does add in Morocco to the same. That is in the New Vision section of sports.
Now in sports, in pursuit of Maradona, that is from Messi, and Croatia's Dalic rules penalty after exit. Now organizers are conducting an inquiry into the death of a Kenyan security guard who fell from an upper floor at the Lusail Stadium. That's quite strange. Alvarez arrives as Messi's partner, and passenger also fined for taxi driver offenses. That's in the sports still. Now, will the Bayern Inter final streak continue? And Mbale Upper Volta holds upper hand. That is in snooker. Now, ex-American champ inspires female bodyguards, and Sema Timber comes of age in real star recognition. But also still in sports, a race against time in Tororo. That is for the Uganda Cross Country Championship that took place in Tororo early this month. The race brought together Ugandans. Elite athletes compete while others were getting themselves ready for future competitions.
And the Daily Nation for this morning talking about rally driver in ICU after the brawl with lover. That is a story in there, page 8, but also a big headline, Ruto's kitchen cabinet. Now they give you more on the inside circle.
Still in the same papers, we'll be looking at TSC jobs rules out as Machagu speaks on pay. But also still in the Daily Nation, MCAs impeach Mwaganza after only 112 days, and the EACC to recover 33 billion assets required corruptly. But of course, they give you a breakdown of the people in that is Ruto's kitchen cabinet, which will include Raymond Omolo, Interior Permanent Secretary, Felix Koseki, Head of Public Service, that is also Mary Wambui Kak, who is the chairperson, Farouk Kibet, the long-serving AD, and Kato Cleo Morris, State House Controller, and of course Gladys, who is the National Assembly Deputy Speaker. Well, again, of course, much more details there for the pullouts. You look at the property pullout, where you see they will give you shopping for a floor, what it will take there in Kenya and what you will need.
Well, there you go. You can grab yourself a copy of any of those dailies to get into what is trending across East Africa, and of course some of the big stories in Uganda. But also want to take you through the traffic situation for this morning, looking at how you can head into town, and of course some of the roads that you know would be easily dodged in terms of traffic, those you can avoid, especially this morning if you headed into town. Looking at most of the roads joining in there, you look at Bombo Road, you look at all the roads coming off the Northern Highway, Northern Bypass. Most of those just get traffic just as you leave the roundabout, but then again as you get into town it gets to clear. Now mostly looking at Kampala Road this morning, if you're joining in from Lugogo, Nakawa and Tinda, you would notice that there is a little bit of clearance when it comes to traffic, and that means that it is an easier route to get you into town. But also if you're going all the way joining into Kampala Jinja Highway, you will also be noticing that there is a little bit of clearance when it comes to traffic, and that you can actually count on. But also I think more of the advice on the road comes in to make sure that you pay a lot of attention. Even during traffic, these are times when you can make mistakes, so be patient on the road and make sure that you're paying attention to ensure that everyone on the road is safe. You keep safe, but also keeping other drivers safe on the road. That is one thing to also think about, and of course ensure safety. You also don't want to be caught up in a situation when you're just rushing for work. Now, away from traffic, we also want to take a look at the weather situation, and of course also coming in from our climate news. What we are landing on this morning is that there has been a lot of talks about coal exploration, and of course we do know that this was abolished, even hailing from the COP26 that happened in Glasgow. The main resolution was about toning down or abolishing of coal use across countries that have been mostly investing in coal. Now this comes at a time where a lot of countries are saying we do not have the alternative, we cannot afford the alternative, although there is support coming through, but this has not been enough to ensure that most countries move away completely from use of coal into renewable energy. And this is where the big question is right now. Well, the G7 countries have actually come out to say industrialized nations will provide $15.5 billion to help countries transition, and main focus is on Vietnam right now. Well, the British Foreign Office did say yesterday that they are willing to help Vietnam with $15.5 billion to ensure there is a transition away from the use of coal into renewable energy. So that means that once this is taken down, they invest more into making sure that they have solar energy, they tap into potential for wind energy, and of course hydroelectric, not to mention much more of that will be beneficial, especially for countries like the UK that did promise that that they will be giving in a lot of money to vulnerable countries. And I think this is the first step towards doing that. We do appreciate that most of these countries are living up to their commitment. However, that does come still with a lot of questions, especially with African countries, especially still waiting on some of those funds. Now, away from that, we also do have very disturbing reports still coming in from Brazil. That is when it comes to the Amazon. Now, there has been a lot of deforestation, and right now, according to the report that came through, it seems like the Cerrado savanna in the Amazon, the Great Amazon, has now been put to a 7-year high, according to government data that was shown yesterday. Now, this is something that could destroy a vital habitat for threatened species, releasing huge amounts of greenhouse gases that drive climate change. This is why it's a lot of concern to look into this huge mass of the destruction when it comes to savanna. Now, you look at the fact that when these trees are there, they are capturing carbon dioxide, which is a good thing, because we're talking about, making sure that these greenhouse gases are not put into the atmosphere. But then again, when they are destroyed, most of these gases now, the carbon dioxide will be escaping into the atmosphere, and henceforth tapping these heats that will also mean that it rises global warming. That is where the worry is, and that is where the concern is. And now we're saying that we are now topping 7 years of this savanna being on a high, meaning that we could be looking at more carbon dioxide levels into the atmosphere, which is not good, because then it will drive a lot of extreme weather events that no one is ready to be talking about, and especially looking at more of what has been cleared away. Now, much of this forest is actually being lost, the deforestation to industrialization, and that right there is the overview of the border between the Amazon and the Cerrado in the Nova area within Brazil, and of course what has been highlighted as one of the most deforested parts of the Amazon. And still scientists are coming up to warn that Brazil should be taking much more care, because we know that the Amazon is not just benefiting Brazil, but it is the world's biggest sink of carbon dioxide. So it means that there is a lot of concern coming through, and of course, as Brazil harboring this forest, they have to take more care when it comes to that. And this is why most climate scientists are concerned. But also you look at organizations like IPCC that have also expressed their concern. You look at most organizations like the WMO that also takes in the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, that have constantly talked about the preservation of the Amazon to ensure that we do have a safe ground to trapping carbon dioxide, but also making sure that we again don't have most of these gases escaping into the atmosphere, because we know that the consequences will be adding more to what has been happening, which means that we're talking more of climate change effects. We're talking more of extreme weather events like flooding. We are moving from drought, and recently we have seen that that has also been on a rise. We are still dealing with huge numbers of that is drought crisis, even here in the Greater Horn of Africa. Talking about Ethiopia recently being highlighted as one of those countries that have been for long affected by the drought crisis. And I think that is one thing to look into, and also ensure that most of this is gotten away. Yes, we have initiatives that are coming in from countries, especially when it comes to carbon trade. And also we did see a fund that was put aside to facilitate some of the nations that can actually move their dependency on the forest or on products that come from the forest, so that they have alternatives. Now, if you have the finances and resources to take care of some things economically as a country, that means you reduce your dependency on forests. And I think this is what one of the resolutions that was also coming across, that is in Glasgow, COP26, and we do know that a few countries have had their commitments on that. But also moving on, talking about extreme weather events, we have seen a report coming through that is about the flooding in Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, at least 120 people have been killed in the capital Kinshasa after heavy rains unleashed floods and caused landslides, as a government document was released, that is on Tuesday. According to news agencies over there, they are reporting that this has also caused devastating effects as we're still looking at the aftermath of this flood. Of course, that did cause a lot of havoc, displacing people, but also the number of people that died from this event. That is about 120 so far. And a report still continuing showing that there are still recovery troops on ground to ascertain the number of people who could have been affected by this flood. But also you do look at the fact that the rainy season over there has been continuous, and we know that Democratic Republic of Congo does have a lot of rains, especially with the influence of the Congo air mass. Now that means that most of these rains are year round, but the extreme weather is not something that you can prepare for. We do know that this has also been increased by the fact that we have the climate crisis, and which is why we're seeing extreme weather events coming through, and also rainy seasons that are above normal. You look at issues of, having heavy rains that in turn cause flooding. This is something that nations are concerned about, and of course we're having more and more of these events coming through, especially for African nations that have been vulnerable to the effects of climate change. And the big question is what do we do to make sure that we are out of this kind of picture? Now, also going ahead, we will be taking a look at what is happening across the country, and that will be tapping in from our satellite, looking at what has been happening over the country. Now, this morning we also did start off with mostly cloudy weather, especially across the southern sector of the country. That was for mostly the Lake Victoria Basin, but also looking at what happened over the islands of Lake Victoria. It looks like we still have that rainy system that will be bringing in rains, especially for areas within the Lake Victoria Basin. We're looking at islands of Kalangala as well. It looks like we do have rains that are starting off over there. We also do have a little bit of clouds that are starting to develop over the western part of Lake Victoria. That takes in areas of Masaka. We're looking at Rengo, we're looking at Sembabule right there, meaning that we could also be having more rains for that part of the country. Where you see the blue colors, the deep blue colors, and orange and green, that is where we have the rainy systems right now as we speak. We do have one that is coming in from the eastern side of Lake Victoria. That means this is taking in areas of Jinja. That's the system that we're looking at. It means that it is also intensifying, so most likely it will be bringing in more rains towards that area. Tororo as well could be having mostly cloudy weather for now, but that is the same system also headed for Kampala, meaning that we could see a little bit of rains dropping in for areas within Kampala. But also we do see more clouds that are starting to develop for the western part of Lake Victoria as well as the central area, meaning that it could be bringing rains for areas within parts of Wakiso as well, Mukono, and could be extending all the way towards much of central Mubende right there. But we're starting off with quite a sunny morning where we see the open gray colors right there. That is indicative of the sunny morning. That is across areas of Mbarara. We're looking at Fort Poto, Mubende, as well as Hoima. We're starting off with quite cloudy weather actually for Hoima and Masindi right there. But we're also looking at another sunny morning again for Arua, Gulu, and Moroto. Looks like that is most likely a repeat of yesterday, because we also did have sunny weather starting off for yesterday morning. But also this morning we're looking at Mbale, Amuria, Soroti as well, starting off with quite a sunny morning. That takes in the Choga region, areas of Apache, Lira as well, starting off with quite a sunny morning, and much more of that will continue into the rest of your morning, especially for the northern side of the country. That takes in eastern Uganda as well. We're looking at most especially also parts of southwestern Uganda, where we do have areas of Kabale Highlands. We do have Kisoro right in there, where we do expect to continue with mostly sunny weather. But we do expect rains to develop later as the day progresses. That is across areas of Lake Victoria Basin, taking in areas of midwestern Uganda, Masindi, Hoima, Fort Poto, the Rwenzori area. You can expect to also have rains later as the day progresses. Also parts of central across Ruwero, Nakasongola, Woblenzi, you can expect to have rains later in the evening, most especially in the southern sector. So yes, this is a time that you prepare for that. Make sure you have your umbrella handy. Make sure that you have that warm jacket, as temperatures do get cool within most of those rainy conditions. Well, that is it in terms of weather updates for this morning. Do look forward to Good Morning Uganda agenda that will be coming up after this. Later, we'll also be taking you through sports, and then after that, we'll be going in for Good Morning Uganda Extra. My name is Mollen Kenyena. I want to wish you a nice day.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
I'm Head of Sales and Marketing at your public broadcaster, Uganda Broadcasting Corporation. Effectively, I'm your servant, and I just want to send this message out to you. Christmas season has come, and Christmas is the celebration of the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ. And it is not just a single day like any other birthday that you may probably celebrate, where we just sing happy birthday and then that's about it. Jesus' birth is very special, and that causes this particular celebration. It's about 90 days, if you like, normally from the 1st of November up to beginning of maybe January or something similar of the next year. We are in that celebrative mode. So it is the biggest human kind of season or event where every activity is beehive, so to speak, in the sense that trade, commerce and everything else is really exchanging. People disposal, people go to mingle with family, friends, relatives, and really enjoy. It is time to celebrate. It is time to reflect. It is time to commit to memory who we are, and it is time really to settle down with family and the loved one. So this year's Christmas is going to be different. This year's Christmas is going to be different in the sense that the last 3 Christmases we were in lockdown. So it was difficult and a different time altogether. But this time we are going to mix, we are going to mingle, we are going to celebrate, we are going to enjoy with our loved one. But most importantly, as we do reflect, it is time for us to return thanks to the Lord for having seen us through, because God saw us through 2022, 2021 and 2020. These were very difficult time. We did not have the opportunity to celebrate it the way we are going to celebrate it this time round. So as a result of that, we need to sit down, celebrate, and I just want to wish everyone a very, very Merry Christmas 2022, a prosperous 2023, and you know that your God is on duty. So let's come back 2023 when we are fully charged and ready to serve. In every area of your service that you have been created to give service to humanity, let's do precisely that. Otherwise, I just want to say Merry Christmas again and have a fantastic season, of course, as always.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
Gatawo with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial star 165 star 5 star 3 hash to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
Welcome to English in a Minute. You already know there are 7 days in a week. But what is the it in this expression?
Jonathan, I've been working on this project for the past 15 hours. I am so tired.
15 hours? I think it's time to call it a day on.
I can't stop now, Jonathan. I must get this done.
The other half of the project isn't due until next month.
For real?
Yeah. Call it a day, Anna.
To call it a day means to finish doing something for now. This expression is usually used when talking about a person's workday. From the looks of it, Anna probably should have called it a day a few hours earlier. And that's English in a minute.
This has been extremely very challenging year because mainly the cost of living has gone very, very high. You know, we used to travel easy, get a pick up a border, pick up a taxi, whatever the case, pay whatever you have on the pocket. This time around has been very, very difficult. Sometimes even go without meals, without lunch. Sometimes you're not sure whether you get supper. And most calls you get are demanding help. Someone calls Mpaye Mtwale Ebiri Mpaye. So this has been a very, very difficult year, 2022, and I hope 2023 will be far better. The situation has been worsened by COVID-19. Wherever you go, you are restricted. You are not open. You are fearing, and so I can't say it has been a fair year at all. It has been a year of bad luck and mixed feelings. But let me hope that Christmas will bring us better hopes, and 2023 will be a far better year than 2022. Thank you very much.
The festive season is here and it's Christmas in 4G from Airtel. Get the most affordable 4G smartphone in Uganda, now heavily discounted from 250,000 shillings to 150,000 shillings only. Yes! 150,000 shillings only to keep you connected to your loved ones this holiday season.
Dial *175*94# to activate free 1 GB instantly and 100% double data on all weekly and monthly bundles for 3 months. Get one today while stock lasts from the nearest Airtel shop. Happy holidays this festive season with Airtel, the smartphone network.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here. In the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's what you feel in the gentle caress of tropical wind from the mountaintops. And the glow in your heart from a warm neighborly invite. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking to the taste of food that takes you on a journey. In the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth. In the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the pearl of Africa.
was Diana from the marketing department. All I recall for Christmas are just amazing and beautiful memories. And I really can't wait this season to celebrate Christmas with my family. I love you all. A Merry, Merry Christmas.
Hello everyone, my name is Jimmy Opio. I work with UBC. I work with the marketing team and of course Magic 100 FM. I am just here to wish you a very, very Merry Christmas. This is the time of the year again. This is the best time of the year where family comes together. This is the time of the year that we get together. We give back together. And this is the time of the year to show love, spread love, get together. Give back to people that have been part of our life. From January to December, wow. Oh, you can't just hesitate to say thank you to the Almighty for keeping you. Not everyone has reached this time of the year, but the fact that you're still here, it shows a lot that God loves you. And this is just the beginning. We wish you to continue having this, stay alive, giving back together, working hard, driving towards your goal, stay focused. The eyes should be on the goal. My friends, thank you very much. And I'm only here to say Merry, Merry Christmas and a prosperous 2023. May 2023 be a better year than 2022. 2022 has been exciting, but we hope and believe that 2023 will definitely be a better year. We love you all at UBC and we look forward to serving you more and better. My name is Jimmy Opio. I sign out.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning and thank you for being with us here on UBC TV. Welcome to this segment, Good Morning Uganda Agenda. Now, this is a very interesting segment. Why? Because you're part of the show in a very simple way, by simply sending us a WhatsApp message or a text message on the number that will be popping up on your screen, which is a 0709 60 2592, 0709 60 2592. And this is my humble appeal to you. Please send in these messages in time. Sometimes you're almost winding up the segment, then it's when you send your message. So I end up not reading it. And if you're to do that, always ensure your name is on the message, because nameless messages I'll not read. So do us a favor, include your name. Now, today we are going to be handling a very interesting topic that almost concerns everyone, more so in this festive season. That is road shading amidst continuous vandalism of electricity infrastructure. And joining me on set this morning, I am to have two guests. First, I have the Public Relations Officer, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, Solomon Waita, and later I'll be joined by the PRO Umeme, Peter Kauju, who will be joining me on set. But for now, I'm with Solomon, and I must say, good morning, Solomon.
Good morning to you, brother.
How have you been?
Good morning, you. We've been okay. We are working. There is quite a lot going on in the ministry. We are still on the agenda to ensure universal access of electricity by all Ugandans. We are targeting to connect all the 10.4 million households in Uganda. It is quite costly, but we are focused, and we want to make sure that Ugandans get affordable, reliable, and available power.
Oh, that is very interesting. Affordable.
Yes.
Because to be honest, my friend, electricity is not that very affordable.
Yes.
Then reliable. I must say, with reliable, we have achieved some level.
We've moved.
Where you can rely. I don't know.
We've moved.
Road shading.
For a long time, Ugandans had forgotten about load shedding. It has been a talk of the past. It is a word that had really gotten out of our vocabularies, because for many years I think power has been stable.
Has been stable, yes.
Yeah, until just when we got some recent problems which we are trying to address.
Now, help me understand, Solomon, why now are we having this continuous vandalism of electricity, towers, poles? Yet these have been in place. We would say this is a new line, maybe that has just been put in place. So now criminal-minded people, due to the excitement. But you see, these towers being damaged have been there. Why now?
Well, we can't say exactly why now, but what we know is vandalism had been around, but at a small scale. We thought they were just petty thieves, you know, trying to look for scrap so they could go to the lines that are a bit in remote areas where we can't quickly, you know, find them, and they steal off a few things, a few cables. Initially, it was the Camufus, you know, those people who worked with the companies before and they lost the jobs. They go back to the communities and, you know, start doing the job as if, you know, for the communities. But they also end up stealing solidos, you know, those wires connecting people's houses. And then it grew, you know, they advanced to transformers, trying to steal the oil in the transformers. I don't know what they use it for, but they steal transformer oil. But those, we had really found a way of addressing them. Now, of late, people started attacking the towers, you know, the towers that transmit the high voltage power from the dams to the substations where Umeme picks it. Umeme, Uganda Electricity Distribution Company, and the other independent distributors, where they pick it. That is a new vice. It started a bit last year towards the end. And when security started, following it, somehow they stopped. But it has just resumed towards the end of this year again. I don't know that pattern, of coming in towards the end of the year. I don't know whether people are looking for Christmas or what. But the difference with the vandalism we are seeing now is that people are cutting down the towers, but they're not taking the material.
What?
They are not taking. They just cut it, put it on the ground, and leave it there. Sometimes they even abandon the power source they used to cut. It has happened in Mukono, mainly in areas of Mukono, Kapeka there. And we are wondering, who are these people? And what exactly are they looking for? Are they saboteurs? Are these political elements? Are they rebels? Are they terrorists? It is something that is still disturbing us. And as ministry, as the other agencies in the energy sector, we have been meeting, we have been doing the best we can to stop that vice, but I think it has now grown beyond just the ministry, the UMEME, UETCA, UEDCA, UEGCL. It has era. So the minister of recent put in place a committee which includes security, police, army, intelligence. We are making it a security matter because what is going on is beyond what we can manage. We can put up the infrastructure, we can make sure that power is there, it's reliable, but protection of the infrastructure is beyond us. So on one hand, we are trying to mobilize communities because community contributes a very big percentage on the security of our infrastructure. The roads, the water system, the power system, the community, because they benefit from these things. When power, when a power line is cut down, everyone goes into a blackout, someone in a rural area, someone in urban centers, we all lose. So we are, on one hand, trying to mobilize communities to be vigilant, try and protect the power infrastructure because you're a direct beneficiary. But on the other hand, we are saying, security, please pay attention to this. It is something, it is something of interest now for security.
Solomon, help us understand. You've rightly said that what is happening is these people are cutting down these towers, but they are not stealing anything. So they are simply cutting down these towers and moving on. Now, what if we are to maybe quantify how big are the losses we've made so far, so the public can understand how much we are losing, and in case of reconstructing these towers, how much still are we spending?
Well, as we speak, I think from last year up to now, we've lost about 10 towers, those big ones, but we've lost so many smaller lines under Umeme, under my brother Hauju here, and UEDCL. Those are so many, but the towers, and we communicated before that each tower that goes down, to put it up again, you need over 200 million shillings to put up one tower. So the towers we've lost are in the excess of 2 billion shillings. And it's in a short time. And we don't know when this is about to stop. But then, you know, you lose quite a lot because power goes off. Umeme cannot collect. People are not using power. ERA told us recently that when one line is cut and we are unable to give people power for 1 week, we lose 4 billion shillings in just 7 days. So that is the loss the country is facing right now. You know, the infrastructure you have to replace. And then you lose because when you don't have power to give to the people, industries are not running.
Yes.
Hospitals are affected. Businesses are affected all over the place. So it is, people are unable to follow, to use TV at home. You're a TV station here, but imagine broadcasting and people out there are not even watching, and because power has been, you know, someone is vandalizing the system somewhere. And Umeme here, you know, is supposed to, he has invested in the network, he wants to collect, and is unable for so many hours, you know, he's unable to take power to the people who are supposed to pay him so he can recover what he has invested. So it's a very bad thing, and we need to find a solution as a country to the problem of vandalism.
Well, we have Peter Kawuju on set, who happens to be the spokesperson of Umeme. Peter, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Good morning, our viewers, this morning. I'm happy to be here again.
Now, Peter, from Umeme's perspective, what is the extent of damage caused by this vandalism? What are we losing?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think most importantly is the fact that we are losing something beyond we can see, beyond the physical infrastructure that has been put in place. And for me, this connects to our morals as a country, to our morals as citizens of, you know, of this nation. Government has gone ahead to ensure that we extend infrastructure, and this is public infrastructure. And when I talk about government, I actually mean me and you and everybody else, because from the money that we use to buy items from the shops, from the supermarkets, it is what supports government to put in place this infrastructure. The roads that we have, the you know, the power lines, all this is built on taxes. No government in the world survives without its citizens supporting it. So the cost of non-supply is actually what is huge. As Solomon said, imagine hospitals going off. They have you know, critical engagements that they are doing there, but a hospital goes off. People who are doing their own work, the wananchi, I run a mill, I run a barber shop, I run a small salon, all those ones will go off, and we keep medicine in our fridges. So when that goes off, and it takes us a bit of time, like in Mitiana, I remember they cut down a line. We went and replaced after 4 days. They came back, harvested it, you know. So it's bigger than we can see. And just to give some scenarios, actually, part of this year, again, there were cases of vandalism on strategic infrastructure. Imagine we had a national event at the National Leadership Institute in Chankwanzi, where His Excellency the President was addressing members of Parliament and all that. People went and vandalized the line in the night. They also went and cut the line going to Chisozi. Again, this is a critical infrastructure where His Excellency, you know, has a farm. And even on the day when we had national elections, the line actually that was leading to the, you know, Tally Center was also brought down. So these are some of, you know, the things that have happened. that actually points to something that this should not be, treated innocently. There is decay in the way, people behave in our communities. Even when some of these members actually may be coming from the communities, people will actually hold back and say, this one is so-and-so's son. We can't report him. But by the time government comes or Umeme comes or whoever is in charge of that particular area to come and replace, there will be already costs. You will have suffered, you will be off. In terms of monies, in just 2021 alone, I think we spent about 26 billion to replace the infrastructure which was stolen. And when they come, some cut down the lines, they steal the conductors, they steal the wires and run away. Others actually come, they cut the poles in pieces, and they leave them. They leave everything there. But
just
when it is
damaging
down,
and
just damaging it. And so that's why we're saying I think we need to pay more attention, just like we have paid attention to a lot of challenges that have come our way, like COVID, like what. This is a cancer which is actually growing in our communities, and it should be everybody's responsibility to ensure that we actually guard our money, because this is our money. We pay taxes, we pay taxes to run this infrastructure. So it's a much bigger battle that we need to engage in. It's a much bigger loss than we see physically.
Well, I just want to remind our viewers that you can be part of the topic of discussion this morning by simply sending me a text message on the number on your screen or a WhatsApp message. That is the number 0709 60 2592, and I promise you I'll be reading out the messages, but please send in time so that we can have time to read out your message, and please have your name on this message. That would do me very great. Send in time, and please ensure at least your message has a name. An SMS will work or a WhatsApp message will work. Either of the two, I'll be reading them out. But also, Solomon, one of the intriguing questions that comes to my mind, I've visited, for example, you took the media to some of these towers, but they don't look to be acts done by ordinary people, And also, much as we've not established the motive, but you fail to understand the energy, the technique put, you're messing with electricity. And at the end of the day, you find out that actually, these people have damaged the tower. They have simply gone away. Would we say maybe this could be insiders that you need to do some cleaning up? I also heard of some claims that there were people who are actually supplying, were they electric poles? Or they were told to plant and they were going to buy these poles. Then after, I think the ministry changed strategy and these people invested a lot of this. Could we say that maybe, because we won't call this theft when someone doesn't take, it's strictly vandalism, calling losses, just causing losses in one or the other. Would we say that maybe there could be issues of mismanagement that are resulting into this?
Well, at the moment we can't conclusively say it is this or that, because investigations are ongoing. The good thing, some arrests have been made so far. A number of people have been arrested here and there, and security will do its part, to interrogate, follow them, trace their networks, their phones, their history. And I want to think in not a very long time we should be able to know who is behind this, what is their motive. Are they trying to make money? Are they trying to sabotage? Are they sabotaging the ministry? Are they sabotaging Umeme? Are they sabotaging UETCL? Or are they, who are they? Did they formerly work with some of our institutions? That possibility can be there. When people are disengaged, they can do so many things. Yes. Yeah, you can't tell they go back to the communities, and the people that are, that leave the jobs, there are very many reasons why someone either loses a job or is retired from a job, either it's age or misconduct. So if someone was misbehaving at the workplace and they lost a job, it is possible that they can be used by the criminal elements out there. But that is the job of intelligence and security should be able to follow. And because these people live somewhere in a community, and if there are people that engage in such acts, the communities where they live would know that this person is seen driving in or riding in with cables or with equipment every time. And these are people who are not known to be working for these institutions. And if you have cables with you every time, why are you coming with them at home? Or why is your car seen in certain places with equipment that is known to belong to Umeme or to belong to whoever? Yes, we know they are actually dangerous groups from the reports we have been getting, but I believe our security forces have the competence and the capability to follow them and manage them.
Well, our viewers, you're still watching Good Morning Uganda Agenda on UBC TV, and we are looking at that is addressing continuous vandalism of electricity infrastructure in this country, where of late it is on an increase, and government of Uganda and the stakeholders in here are losing a lot of money because some just choose to damage, others may steal for market, for selling, but so far what we are getting on the about 10 towers that have been put down is these people are just aiming at destroying. They take nothing, they cut them, the country goes into road shedding, industries lose a lot of money and other inconveniences, but they don't take anything. And here is where we want your contribution. That is the number on your screen. Please send us a WhatsApp message, send us a text message on that number, and I'll gladly be able to read them out, and my guests in studios will be responding to that. So please keep them coming in, and we will see how best we can do that. Well, Peter, let's also look at avenues that you have put in place, so Umeme has tried to advise how best we can ensure we safeguard these. I'll give you an example. When I want electricity connection at my place, I go through Umeme and I'll pay all the bills, then have these cables connected. Now, what happens? Tomorrow I wake up, my Solido has been taken. Then it is connected to someone's home. But I wonder how I see your staff move around and maybe they can't identify that this maybe was stolen from such and such a place. How did you get connected to the grid? You know? Then also this issue of the Kamyufu people. They also are problems. Some even have your boots, some have your overalls, and it's very easy for someone to think that actually it is Umeme staff that are carrying on repair or are inspecting something, yet actually this could be the Kamyufus. Don't you think also you need to do some in-house, you need to better address some of these gaps that are becoming a challenge here?
Yeah, thank you, Kirabo. The truth of the matter is that we actually operate in the community, and we know the people that we are dealing with. But in terms of identification, especially for our staff, we've been very, very deliberate that everybody that goes out to attend to a challenge clearly identifies themselves. They will come with an ID giving a detail of who they are, what their name is, which station they work for, and what has brought them there. And lately, we have automated almost all our services. The entire process for connections and also serving. We've actually put all these services in the hands of the customers, because if you want a connection and you have internet, you can apply for that connection online. you just have to visit our website or download our app, the Umeme app, and you're able to input all your details. You can input the wiring certificate. The entire process would take you, if you're connected, would take you about 10 minutes. And you submit, make the payment, we will come and do the connection. And before we even come, we will notify you, you'll get an email from us, you'll get a phone call from us, we'll come and connect. So what we are trying to do is to ensure that service is actually seamless. We will only come to your place when it's absolutely necessary that we should come, or possibly when there is a fault on the meter, on the pole, or we need to do some remedial works at that side. So we've tried to disconnect the physical interface as much as possible. We only go out to the field when we have to come and fix a fault. But we've also undertaken a lot of awareness and engagements through the government structures up to the grassroots, because especially of vandalism and also fraudsters, people who claim to be coming from Umeme. So we've automated our IDs, our identity cards, that if I came to your place, you can actually scan that ID through a QR code, and it will bring all the details, for as long as I have given you my name, for you to actually verify that this is the right person who is coming to, or who has come to fix a problem. In the event that you're not sure, still we have given the toll-free numbers, which are 0800 285 285. Somebody can still call, or even through the LCs, and say there is somebody who has come to my place. He claims to be coming from Umeme, but I'm not sure. Can you help? And we will be there actually to help. So it's a challenge that we know, but we are doing our best to ensure that we can minimize the physical interface. If the system can actually support right from the end user, like it is now, if you want to buy a token, you no longer have to come to our service center. You use your phone, buy your token, and get it and load it in. We only come to you when there is a fault. But also to refer to what Mr. Muita indicated, that the community is a very interesting group where we live. And you won't know who is doing what, but sometimes people get to know. And we are happy that now there's a bit of vigilance, especially with the committee, the security committee that has been put in place. It has UPDF, it has the police, and it has RDCs, it has people that are in charge to ensure that we can actually be able to protect government infrastructure. But again, the people at the grassroots are very key. They are very pivotal in this fight. And even when you see somebody coming to your house or to your pole, it doesn't hurt for you to ask, who are you? What have you come to do? We need to know that. And we have seen this actually happening in a number of places, like in Tororo and again in Imbarara, where they found people driving in the night, in the wee hours, and they had equipment belonging to the network. So the community mobilized, they stopped them and reached out to police. And we identified that these were stolen, equipment material from the network. They were apprehended and then brought to book. But also we are very confident now in the amended law, because it is quite punitive, especially for people who vandalize public infrastructure, because you may earn up to 10 or 15 years or pay between 400 million shillings up to $1 billion. So they are doing all this because they want people to, to realize that it's important for us to keep this network, to keep this infrastructure. So we continue with the awareness as well, and we also continue to work with the team in place, the police and all the security teams, to ensure that we do a cleanup. And nobody, even when your staff, in this case, if somebody comes and say, this person was found with this and his staff of Umeme, everybody will be dealt with in their individual capacities for as long as they are breaking the law or they are caught on the other side of the law. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Peter. We are still looking at electricity infrastructure, addressing the continuous vandalism of electricity infrastructure in this country. I beg also that in case you're sending a question, let it be in line with that. We'll have so many questions, but I'll only point out those that are in line with the topic of discussion today, because once Umeme is here, I know there are so many questions that people have for Umeme. But today we have a particular issue we are addressing that is causing financial losses, but also inconveniences to Ugandans, and we can't continue like this. If you're going to use about 26 billion just to replace what has been stolen, if people are putting down towers and each of the tower goes to about 200 million, you need like $1 billion for 20 towers to put them up. So this is a big issue and a concern that we have decided to address this morning. Now I want to look at some of the messages, but there's a very interesting one here. Solomon, they're asking you, this is Wilbur Mohanga, that, well, according to your investigation, who are the people buying these? Because you've said much as the towers, nothing is taken, but when it comes to others, well, it seems they are taken for money. Then he also says, apart from telling us, what are you doing as a ministry to fight this? And above all, electricity installation is very expensive for an ordinary Ugandan, so that is why we see that people look for other alternatives, and this creates market for what has been vandalized. Well,
who is buying? For starters, we issued a statement last month in November, and the minister said it was discussed in cabinet, and the Ministry of Trade was tasked to make new regulations for the scrap industry, scrap and a bit of steel industry, because the information we received before was to the effect that part of the material from the vandalized infrastructure is traded in the scrap industry. So we need to have it properly regulated, and the scrap dealers also sell to the steel industries. So, but that sector shouldn't be very hard to deal with, because we know where they are. These are licensed to do this business. We can even install cameras inside at their entrances, around their premises. We can get to see what comes in, what is offloaded. That we can easily deal with. We're working hand in hand with the Ministry of Trade. The issue of power connection, is expensive. Someone talks about it. It is expensive, and my brother here will tell you, connecting just a line from a pole to your house, you need about over 720,000. Yes, it's not cheap. All these things are imported. The cables are largely imported. We are looking to start to get into manufacturing our own. Eventually, we have the minerals here, and the president has said we need to add value, and through value addition we should be able to to start to attract investors, so that some of this material, transformers, the meters, Mr. Kauja, I don't know where the meters are coming from, but it's not cheap. So the period COVID affected us, government used to subsidize some of these things, but because of COVID, we needed more resources towards the health sector. So some of those programs somehow stopped. Yesterday we announced a new initiative where we'll be subsidizing a bit on that cost. You must have seen announcements from Umeme, from ERA, from the ministry, that connection fees have been lowered. And we have given the public options. You can either pay 200,000 shillings, and then UDB, our own bank, is going to give you a credit of 270, which you pay over a period of 8 years through when you pay your Yaka bill, umeme will take off 15% and take it back to UDB. But for you, you have power. You pay your 200, you have power. If you don't want to take credit from UDB, you just pay 470, and the umeme will come the following day and connect you. So we are trying to simplify the connection bit for the people so that you're not tempted to do those things you're saying. And when you do those things, you know, you're going to get yourself in trouble. You're trying to find a shortcut, but you're going to get yourself in trouble. He has just mentioned the new law. When we find you either vandalizing or with material from vandalized infrastructure, you may go to jail for 10 years. Or you may, the court may impose a fine of hundreds of millions. Because when we get you, you represent the others that have been stealing. We can't know whether it's you or you may be part of the network. So we want to make it expensive for you to vandalize. Even if we find a meter which doesn't belong to you, we find it in your house. We know you've stolen it from somewhere. You have a Solido in your house. Is that a store for women? What are you doing with a Solido in your house? It's not, you know, these are material, or whichever material we know you're not supposed to have in your house, in your office, and we find it there. We will know that you're part of the wrong network, which is disorganizing our systems. And we'll take you to court, we'll make sure you pay heavily, either through a fine, a hefty fine, or imprisonment, or both. We want to make it really costly for the people. If you have a challenge out there, with power, with tariffs, with connection, approach. Your political leaders are there, the ministers are there, of energy, the officers are there. You come and, you know, raise your issue and you say, we need support, we need help in this area. And we should be able to address that.
Now let's move into the messages. I hope you jot them down in the interest of time. I'll begin with this one. Good morning, mwebale kuwereza amanya umaru mubende. Mbuza eno offer ya electricity naffe abemubende. Well,
offer ya buli omu, buli Munnayuganda, buli woli offer twagitaddewo ya ggwanga lyonna, si ya kitundu kimu oba kirala, naye buli omu waali oba oyagala amasannyalaze ng'omuti gukuli kumpi, teekamu okusaba, bajja kuleetera mita ng'osasudde ssente ezo zenjogeddeko.
Okay, good morning. Thanks so much for the program. In my view, we may have to extend this particular awareness to localities through use of radio station, LCs, and other means, such that the community gets to know and be able to distinguish between Umeme staff and intruders. Thanks, Munu Sam from Lila. Thank you so much, Brother Munu. Good morning, our service provider. Just make me clear on how you give units. Asaba James from Fort Portal City. And this is a common, in case I don't read out your question, please know that someone else has sent in the same. Amrukwago Jonah, this goes to Peter. I would like him to put more light on QR code. How can I use a QR code to scan or verify a genuine ID? He's from PG. Then still have another good morning. Good morning. This one still talks about the unit issue, Peter. Okay. Good morning. Still also a unit. Okay. Umeme yaka are usually stolen. Where are they installed and cannot be traced by Umeme? And replaced for another one, and replacement for another one is very expensive, and service fee continue to be charged in absence of the meter. So when these yakas are stolen, is asking, where are they sold? Because they know it is Umeme who does that. Now, Umeme guys, sometimes they annoy us. Talk about the scenario where a meter gets a problem. Me as a civilian, I have no authority to fix it. I invite Umeme people to my meter for fixing, and they put me on direct, and they directly give me a paper. After 7 months of complaining, another group came back and took the wire, a reason that it was illegal. So, well, it's a long message, but talks about irregularities with your staff. One of Umeme's staff changed my meter with someone's meter. I'm Benjamin Ronald from Leader. What should I do?
Okay.
And still, this is Moses Odong from Guru. We saw power being connected to a nearby school, and they promised to connect us, the neighbors, to the school. We managed to fill in our forms and our details. I wish to know how fast the process can be. Good morning. This is Kutesa Godfrey Mokama, French teacher elite. Well, I won't go into that, but he says, I stay saying it is becoming poor managerial skills in the ministry. Strategies should be set to handle this. He's blaming the ministry, saying, well, there's something lacking there in terms of how best we can manage this. And finally, for now, I'll look at this one. This is Good Morning Uganda. This is Sari Andrew from Kamuri. Mr. Solomon, I want to inform you that we should just be realistic. No one can treat a patient unlikely there are medics or physicians. This comes to electricity as well. My view about this is that these are some workers who planted decided to destroy, because they are the only ones who can know the value of these assets. Can we increase their salaries that they will stop vandalizing our equipment? For now, let's have answers to those two. And I'll begin, I think, with Solomon, who doesn't have so many here.
Well, I already said that we are investigating to get to the bottom of the issue. If these are people still working with us and maybe they think they are poorly paid for the very jobs they apply to to undertake, and the terms and conditions were clear at the start, we shall deal with that. If people need salary enhancement here and there, once we confirm that, we'll deal with that. But you know, you don't engage in criminality because you have a problem, because you're going to find yourself in a bigger problem, like I've already mentioned before. But we are doing the best we can at the ministry, and we are working with different stakeholders, the agencies, the security forces, the political class. Cabinet is behind this. We are going to get everyone. We are going to make this issue a household issue. We want you, the power user, wherever you are, to also get involved so that we have this sorted out together as a country. Yes.
Now, Peter, there you come in.
Yeah, thank you so much, the viewers, for the comments. I will actually build on that as well. There are so many colleges that have trained Ugandans on matters of electricity. So we have many people that now have the technical skills. And what this means is that, you know, some people, that's how they have found their way onto illegally accessing the networks. Even the equipment like the climbing shoes and all that, they are sold actually in Katwe here. And what should happen is that actually if you want to wire your house or your property, there are wiremen that are licensed by the Electricity Regulatory Authority. These are the recognized or authorized people that should actually do your works in the house, your technical work. So please look out for this, because it's a source of a big problem. Because safety is very, very key. Kirabo, we've lost Ugandans who have illegally, accessed the network or have done, wrong wiring in their houses. And before we know, we see mothers, we see children, dying because somebody has done a poor job, because they engaged the wrong person. So safety is key. Even as you set out to do those illegalities of vandalism, first think about your life and also the lives of others, because there are people who also illegally hook themselves onto the network. And if Solomon goes to his house, I come and illegally hook a wire behind his house. He wakes up in the morning, he doesn't know that there's a live wire there. As a result of us, we lose lives. So that should actually be checked. There's a gentleman who asked about how do we use the QR code. Now, we have, like I said, we have automated most of our services, including our ID. So when I come to your premise, when I am sent to your premise, I will first show you the ID. And on that ID, there's a slot right in the corner down, which has a provision for the QR code. So you just, if you have a smartphone, you should be able to just use your smartphone to scan it. And when you scan it, will bring the details of that person who has come to your facility. And there you'll be able to tell. If it doesn't bring that, then it's a big pointer that this is the wrong person.
Maybe tell them how to scan.
Yes. You just have to use, first of all, you must have a smartphone, and then it must be connected to the internet. And then there is a provision there that allows you to scan. So he will show you the ID.
Just turn on the camera of the phone and point it to the ID.
Yes.
It will bring the details.
It will bring the details. That's how it works. But we know that there are also many other Ugandans that do not have the smartphones. You can use your phone to call those toll-free numbers to just confirm that I have somebody called Peter who says he's coming from Umeme to do some work here. Could you please confirm? If not, then we pick it up from there. They talked about how units are generated. First of all, we operate the network on behalf of Government of Uganda, and Government of Uganda sets, the tariffs every quarter through ERA. And they give us, for instance, for this quarter, they gave us the tariffs to collect. That this is the money we expect everybody who is buying power to buy. And so we implement that. But what I wanted also to explain is that people should know that besides, what makes up this tariff is we have the place that generates this power, where power is made, that is called generation. And now, after this power is made, or manufactured, if I can use that word, it has to be conveyed through those huge lines that Solomon was talking about, the transmission towers. And once that is done, this power is actually sold or given to the distributors, which is UEDCL and us for now in this particular discussion. And so it has to be delivered to your houses or to your properties. Now, what used to happen in those heydays, they would come and read your meter. And it would take days sometimes. They wait for the month. They would wait for the month to end and then come, read, bring you paperwork and all that. So we said, no, the world has gone digital. Why can't we digitize all this? And so government authorized all these provisions. So now you have to buy using your phone. And so every unit that you buy, there's a component that goes to generation to pay off the person that makes the power. The transmission that delivers that. There is a VAT for government and also the service provider. So that is how it's broken down. But it's very important. I'm happy that that person asked that question.
But then also, how does a Ugandan know that for this amount of money I get, maybe how much is a unit? Sometimes when the month is just beginning, you put on your 50,000, then you get so many. In case it's done mid-month, then you just get...
Now, there is what we call lifeline units, that for customers, every, say, 15 units that you buy, if it is your first time to load electricity in a month, you will get those units at a subsidized rate of 250 per unit. So anything above that, meaning starting from the 16th unit going up all the way, you'll get it at a standard rate, which is about now 800, about 820. But the misconception that was there is that when you load at the beginning of the month, you get more units. That is not correct. The correct version is that if you're loading for the first time in the month, you'll benefit from those lifeline units. And it can be anywhere in the middle, it can be anywhere towards the end of the month, but that is how that is distributed. Somebody talked about the need to continue with awareness of our staff. We'll continue to do that. There's a person from Lira who said somebody gave him a meter from
Peter,
somebody
I
else.
must cut you short.
Yeah.
Actually, a friend from Lira asked me to bring back these gentlemen, and I promise we shall bring them back. The two of them, they'll accept and they'll be back. But let me just give Solomon your final remark. Time is not so much on my side in a minute, and then also Peter finally.
Well, it is an appeal to all Ugandans that we have a cancer. That cancer is called vandalism, which we have to deal with head on as a country. We need to work together. We need to identify these wrong characters and report them whenever we see them. We should report, and you will have put your tafari on this initiative.
Peter, as we say goodbye.
Yeah, thank you very much for hosting us. I want to also re-emphasize what Solomon has said. Actually, I like to put it plainly that theft of electricity infrastructure is a challenge to the country. We have to fight collectively. We need to ensure that safety of our people is very, very taken care of. For the people that have raised issues, we are going to follow up with you in Liram and Gulu to ensure that we address it. But also, during times like these, the festive season, children are back home. Please ensure that you do not leave electricity gadgets on unattended. Sometimes we find children using forks, fixing them in sockets. That is risky. When it is raining and there is a leaning pole or a broken cable, don't touch it. Please call us on those toll-free numbers. We will come and attend to you, and we wish you the best of the season. Let's fight vandalism collectively for a better Uganda.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Peter Kawuju, PRO, that is Rumeme, and Solomon Mwita, who happens to be the Public Relations Officer, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. Thank you, gentlemen. I will have you next time, and thank you so much for these very many messages that are coming in. Ruben is here to take you through the world of sports. Good morning.